Hey, it is Good Friday, and what does that mean? That it's good? Let's go. All right, today on Good Friday, we're going to move from Matthew. I said at the beginning of the week that typically, like at our church service, we do one at 1, and we also do one at 7 today. If you're around in the Malvern area, I'd love to have you kind of experience with it's a kind of a different service. It's a very quiet service. We really kind of lean into the dark aspect of it so that we can experience the light of it, the forgiveness, the love, the depths that He went to for us. A great song is called "Were You There?" We sing that every year. It's just awesome. I love it, and it just helps us to. It's kind of a mournful song, if you will, very appropriate for this day, where we just reflect on what He did for us. And so, John, in John 18, all the way to 19, verse 42, is the story of what happened and what Jesus did. And I want to kind of pick it up from chapter 19. Let's look at 19:1, and we'll just grab a couple of verses here as He was crucified, and kind of some of the things that happened. Okay, so we read that Pilate took Jesus, flogged Him, right? Whips, terrible stuff. They twisted together a crown of thorns. The soldiers did. They put it on His head, arrayed Him in a purple robe, came to Him, "Hail, King of the Jews," struck Him with their hands. Then Pilate went out again and said to them, "See, I'm bringing Him out to you, that you might know I find no guilt in Him." So Jesus came out wearing the crown of thorns and the purple robe, and Pilate said to them, "Behold the man." And when the chief priests and officers saw Him, they cried out, "Crucify Him, crucify Him." Pilate said, "Take Him yourselves and crucify Him, for I find no guilt in Him." The Jews answered, "We have a law, and according to that law He ought to die, because He has made Himself the Son of God." And when Pilate heard this statement, check this out, he says, he was even more afraid. He entered the headquarters again and went to Jesus and said, "Where are you from?" But Jesus gave him no answer. So Pilate said to him, "You will not speak to me? Do you not know that I have authority to release you, authority to crucify you?" And Jesus answered him, "You would have no authority over me at all, unless it was given to you from above. Therefore, He who delivered me over to you has the greater sin." And it said that after that, he tried to release him, and they just kept saying, "Crucify Him, crucify Him." And then when you go, we're going to skip ahead to verse 17. It says, Jesus went out bearing His own cross to the place called the place of a skull, which in Aramaic is called Golgotha. And there they crucified Him. 2 others, one on either side, Jesus between them. Pilate also wrote an inscription and put it on the cross. It read, "Jesus, Son of Nazareth, the King of the Jews." Now many of the Jews read this inscription, for the place where Jesus was crucified was near the city, and it was written in Aramaic, in Latin, and in Greek. So the chief priests of the Jews said to Pilate, "Don't write the King of the Jews, but rather this man said, 'I am the King of the Jews.'" But Pilate answered, "What I have written, I have written." And when they crucified Him, they took His garments, they divided them. And after He died, He says this in verse 28. He said, knowing it was finished, He said, "I thirst." And a jar full of sour wine stood there. And they put a sponge full of the sour wine on a hyssop branch, and they held it to His mouth. And when Jesus had received the sour wine, He said, "It is finished." He bowed His head and He gave up His spirit. He died. And the point of John's account of it is to show that it was God's promise fulfilled. It was the plan that God, the mission from start to finish, all God's intention to save us, to have Jesus go through the horrific events for us, for, listen, not just for us generically, but for you. Because as he said, it is finished, he meant like your sins are now forgiven. All that guilt, all that shame, finished. The mission, finished, accomplished, done, perfectly executed. And he's calling us today, and I want us to pray about this tonight. To say, he did that all for me. Just say that to yourself. He did it for me, to set me free, that I might know him, that I might know his love and his faithfulness, and that I might even anticipate that miracle of Easter Sunday where he rose from the dead. I would just encourage you to pray, to worship, maybe find a church if you don't have one, particularly one that might have a Good Friday service, to go, to pray, to be with other believers, and especially on Easter Sunday to find a place, right, where you can celebrate this resurrection and be encouraged by the people of God. All right, we got one more this week, Saturday, and we'll kind of see some of the events of that day and what it means for us. All right, we'll see you tomorrow as we kind of finish out this Holy Week.